My name is David Marek, and here at Bishop Fenwick High School, I am the chairman of the math department. I'd like to say a few words, well, actually, probably more like a few dozen words about the chart that you see on the screen here. If you look down the left hand column, that's where most of our freshmen start. Well, how do you know what class we start them in? Well, our process starts by looking at the scores from the high school placement test. And then we also take a look at teacher recommendations. Parents, please encourage the elementary schools when they send transcripts to not just send us what kind of grades they've gotten, but please ask them to make sure that they're giving us an indication of what level of math class they're taking as an eighth grader. For those students that are taking Algebra 1 in eighth grade, a good score on the high school placement test isn't going to have them go back into Algebra 1 and take it again. We'd like as much information from the elementary schools as we can possibly get. So if your eighth grader is taking Algebra 1, you'll probably get an invitation from me to take what we refer to as our honors math placement test. Basically, I will give you our Algebra 1 final exam and see how it goes. If you do sufficiently well, then we are going to say there's no need for you to retake Algebra 1. We will start you up here in our honors track and start with honors geometry. If you do well in honors geometry, at the end of the year, we will award you a credit for Algebra 1 that will show up on your transcript. But again, we give a credit, we don't give you a grade. This will have no impact on your GPA. For those kids that then get in the honors track and hopefully stick with it here, so that sophomore year they'll take honors algebra 2 and then pre-calculus and hopefully be ready as seniors to take AP calculus. Maybe you're taking algebra 1 right now as an eighth grader and maybe it's a bit of a struggle. When you take that honors math placement test and maybe don't do so well, we would recommend the accelerated algebra 1. This is a class, again, for students who've had some algebra background here, but need some help with some of the foundational ideas. Usually they go through the first few chapters pretty quickly because if you've taken Algebra 1, you know how to combine like terms and solve linear equations and things like that. But then they'll get more in depth and more practice with absolutely vital skills like factoring and graphing parabolas and solving quadratic equations. Just because you're not in the honors track as your freshman year class doesn't mean you can't get to calculus. We will frequently have students who take both geometry and algebra 2 their sophomore year. That will get you to calculus. Some of those students that really excel in those are even recommended to move up to the honors track. So this almost maze of arrows that I have here shows some of the possible pathways, but not necessarily all of them. The majority of incoming freshmen start with Algebra 1. And again, here in bold print, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, that traditional sequence there. Most colleges want to see at least that Algebra 2 transcript, sorry, that Algebra 2 course on their transcript. The state of Ohio requires 4 math credits for graduation. So you can see here in this far right column, we have a variety of things available for them by their senior year, which includes, as you can see, 2 levels of calculus. And if you've noticed the electives listed down at the bottom, we do have 2 levels of statistics also. Say somebody is looking into maybe going into the social sciences or maybe looking at a degree in nursing. Statistics would be far more beneficial, do a better job of helping prepare them for college. If somebody's obviously going into engineering or maybe business calculus is probably going to be required for those degrees. We do have every year a few students who have taken Algebra 1 as a 7th grader and then are taking geometry as an 8th grader. In that case, we would ask you to, again, take our Honors Math Placement test, but I'm going to give you both the Algebra 1 final exam and the geometry final exam. And hopefully then we can move you on to Honors Algebra 2 as a freshman. And again, that does not happen frequently, but it is a possibility. And again, what you see in that far left column there is only the initial placement. Okay, our teachers pay very close attention, especially those first couple of weeks, at getting to know our students, getting to assess their strengths and weaknesses, and we frequently change schedules. We don't want a student in a course where it's too easy and they're bored. We want to challenge them. We'll move them up. If we see a student who's really struggling, um, we know that it's going to be a challenge all year long, and we want them to be successful. We'll go ahead and talk with the guidance counselors and the parents about changing their schedule also. So hopefully this is a basic overview of the things that we have to offer and how we get the freshmen started and hopefully get them to progress through and succeed and tailor the math program to their changing needs. Thank you for visiting.